Maybe your team's opener didn't go to plan and you need to bounce back. Maybe you jumped on the other guys early and you never looked back. Either way, it's time for a second crack at it. Another week to crack the pads. In week 2, league play started for 2 of our conferences, and we get to check in on 2 defending conference champs. So don't go anywhere. Gridiron Glory starts right now. Here we go again, folks. Back in Studio A for another Friday night of football. I'm your host, Blake Baker, and rounding out the black polos, now featuring awesome patches for Season 20, co-host Noah Wolf.
Blake, can you believe that we're already in conference play? It's not even September yet, but we're already hitting some league rivalries in the MVL and the TVC Hocking. Not to mention some exciting non-conference action in the FAC and the TVC Ohio, of course. We saw 7 great games across all 4 of our conferences, but we're starting off with 2 of those aforementioned league games.
Yeah, you hit on it. 4 conference games tonight, a lot of big wins, so why waste any more time? Let's get right into it. Tonight we sent 2 reporters into MVL country, and reporter Nick Ursini was one. From the Red Zone, he's going to discuss how Crooksville matched up with the Philo Electrics.
Blake, both Philo and Crooksville started their seasons with losses, so Philo had a chance to pick up their first win of the season in front of their home fans. And here we go. Philo has their chin straps tight, cleats laced, and they were all business tonight. On Philo's first possession, running back Casey Munyon takes the handoff from Hunter Adolph, cuts inside, and is down inside the 5-yard line. Very next play, Brock Luber muscles his way into the end zone. PAT good, 7-0 Electrics early in the first quarter. Next Philo possession, Munyon takes the option pitch from Adolph, and he's off down the right sideline. The safety knocks him out of bounds at the 5-yard line, but Philo was unable to score. But take a look at this next play coming up. Do not blink. Adolph drops back, connects with receiver Ashlyn Bailey. He gets tackled, loses the ball, but it juggles around on Brady Bandon's back and falls back into Bailey's arms. What a catch. On Crooksville's next possession, Noah Dickerson is sacked. He loses the ball, and Philo jumps on it deep in ceramic territory. They had a tough time on offense tonight. Now Aaron Phillip, who split time with Adolph behind center, takes the snap and goes for a quick 10 yards, setting up Munyon. He takes the ball, jukes the defender out of his cleats, follows his blocker, and in for 6. Touchdown Philo, 26-0 lead into halftime, and they kept their foot on the gas en route to a 47-0 shutout over Crooksville.
Whoa, big response from the Electrics after the Week 1 loss. What did Coach Lincecum do to flip the script?
Well, Philo controlled both sides of the ball. It didn't look like it from the start, but they dominated both sides. The Electric offense started off shaky. They were dropping passes and had to settle for 2 field goals inside the 15-yard line of Crooksville. And the Ceramics had chances too, but they could not sustain a long drive and came up with no points. Freshman Noah Dickerson had Philo defenders in his face all night. He went 4 for 11 with 31 yards and 2 interceptions, one of which was returned for 6 points. In fact, the Ceramic offense mustered up just 13 total yards of offense, in part because they had negative 18 rushing yards as a team.
Yeah, man, tough to win in the MVL, and it's even tougher when your offense is really not clicking at all. Was it all Crooksville's offense that was the problem, or was Philo's defense forcing the Ceramics to make mistakes?
Honestly, it was a combo of both, but this was all Philo tonight. Once they left the locker room pregame to when they shook hands, it was the stingy Electric defense that we've seen in the past. A classic Dirk Lincecum coach team. They come out, punch you in the mouth, control the trenches, and make you beat them with great play after great play, and Crooksville was not up to the challenge tonight. Next week, the Electrics get another chance to display their talent when they welcome West Muskingum.
Another chance for Philo to get closer to playing their best football before they play John Glenn, Tri-Valley, and Sheridan in consecutive weeks. Nick, thank you for your MVL expertise. This milestone season of Gridiron, our goal is to give you some content every day of the week. And almost everything we do, we tweet. I'm talking previews and recaps, media day content, segments from the last episode, plus our reporters love to tweet too. Look out for videos, photos, and score updates from each game we see Friday nights. All updates are tweeted or retweeted at Gridiron Glory. Now here's Noah and Rebecca in the Highlight Center.
You said it, Blake. Our second battle in the MVL comes from reporter Rebecca Markovitz. She went to New Lexington tonight and caught them against West Muskingum. How'd it go?
New Lexington was coming off a big win against Fairfield Union, a team they lost to last year, and that momentum carried into tonight. The Panthers were pumped to pounce, and West End was not ready. On the 3rd play of the game, West End fumbles the ball, and New Lex recovers it in a great field position on the 25-yard line. Duo Christian Vance and Seth Burgess gets them to the 5-yard line, and Vance takes it in. Panthers up 7-0 early. Then the Panthers get the job done in just 2 plays. On the punt return, Bobby Kunkler sprints down the sideline and gets stopped just 1 yard short of the end zone. He sets up this next easy walk into the orange for Burgess. And then the Panthers said, let's mix it up and try the passing game. Logan Ratliff to Kunkler, broken tackle, and there's that speed again, stopped 4 yards out. Next play, Burgess gets mixed up in the bunch but emerges out of nowhere. Chest bump with a teammate, and it's 22-0. 30 seconds left in first quarter. Ratliff with a pick 6. No wonder this team is called the Panthers, because they have that Panther speed. And look at that. Cooper Thart, he knows what's up. Fast forward to just before the end of the half, Ratliff throws a dime, and Ben Stenson leaps to take the touchdown from Jacob Hoover, who was just waiting for it. New Lex ended up winning the game 48-0.
Well, the Panthers came away victorious. What was working for them tonight?
The same strategy that worked for them last year worked this year. Last year, they focused on running the ball just about the entire game. They had no problem penetrating the Tornado defense with their rushing plays. Their rushing attack was what kept the chains moving during their long drives. But it was their special teams that really set the tone. Special teams gave the Panthers excellent field position throughout the entire first half, where their worst field position was on their own 40-yard line.
Wow, they had a dominant offense. Who were some of the key players that helped facilitate that?
New Lex had a triple threat leading the offense: Christian Vance, Seth Burgess, and Logan Ratliff, and we saw that in the highlights. But all 3 of these guys demonstrated their versatility. They dominated on both sides of the ball, unstoppable on offense and pummeled players on defense.
Well, we've been talking about the victorious New Lexington Panthers, so what was going on with West Muskingum?
They were struggling with the fundamentals of football. The offensive line couldn't block, and you can't make plays when your running back gets stuffed behind the line. The Tornadoes did not get a single first down all first half. They faced 3rd and 10+ yards and were forced to bring out the punting squad more than they would have liked to. Just another year that the Panthers didn't get stuck in the storm. So New Lex comes out of week 2 undefeated.
Indeed they do. Thanks, Rebecca. Speaking of Panthers, our next matchup had some Jungle Cats as well. Blake and Will are in the film room to tell you about it.
Thanks, guys. Washington Courthouse gives Circleville its 2nd FAC opponent this season. Tonight was the Blue Lions home opener. Reporter Will Collins was excited for this one. He's here to run down the action.
Blake, the Blue Lions and the Tigers came to play tonight. The Big Cats came to play, and Washington Courthouse made sure that their presence was felt early. Now, the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions were ready for their homestand at Gardner Park. And after this first quick 3-and-out, Dylan Stewart takes this punt return, makes a man miss, cuts up the sideline. He has one more man to beat, but doesn't quite get there and sets the Blue Lions up in the red zone. The very next play from scrimmage, Gio Thomas fakes the handoff, takes it himself into the end zone, 17 yards, touchdown, 7-0 Washington Courthouse. On the very next drive, though, Circleville's Cade Burton says, I can play too, 40 yards to the end zone, 7-6. Now, on this kickoff return, the very next kickoff return after the Circleville touchdown, Dylan Stewart takes the kickoff return. Man, he makes that man miss. He stiff arms another, and that man is gone. 85 yards for a touchdown, 13-6 Washington Courthouse. Dylan Stewart would score another touchdown here, his second of the night on this 16-yard run, 20-6 Washington Courthouse. Gio Thomas, he drops back, he rolls out and lets it fly. To who? Dylan Stewart for a 55-yard touchdown. He mossed that man, 26-6 Washington Courthouse. Stewart evaded that sack and dumped it off to Dylan Stewart, who rushed in for another 40-yard score, 33-6 Washington Courthouse. They would go on to win 68-6 in this game after this Gio Thomas touchdown would make it 40-6 when we left.
Huge offensive showing, even early. And I know we talked about this offense from the start, but Dylan Stewart at quarterback is what we thought. This Gio Thomas cat, he's really good, isn't he?
He's very good. Blake, let me tell you, this kid is a beast. Last week in their first game, his first game at Washington Courthouse, he's a sophomore, he passed 19 of 32 for 413 yards and 6 touchdowns. This week, very similar again. 11 of 12, missing just one pass for 235 yards and 3 scores. But let's not forget about one of his very electric receivers, Dylan Stewart, who scored touchdowns all over the place tonight in lots of different ways.
Yeah, so those two are impressive, but that defense had to impress you as well for Washington Courthouse.
Man, that defense did impress me tonight. They recovered a myriad of fumbles throughout the game. Rich Burns, who played a lot of offense last year, stood out on defense for me tonight. He came up with some key sacks after some time out with the coach there. I mean, getting it going. Rich Burns, he made plays all over. He made plays on the line. He made plays in the backfield. There was no stopping him on defense tonight either.
Certainly looked like a fun one. Washington Courthouse is going to be a fun team to watch, especially in that conference with Jackson, Chillicothe. Those stout defenses. Again, it looked like a fun one to Will. Looked like you had fun. We appreciate your good work. Thank you. So week 1 was fun. But according to Patch Timney, week 2 is when it goes down. The posers and the real contenders get revealed this week, and I do think we saw that tonight. Patch, thank you for the tweet. Maybe your tweet shows up next week. Mention @Gridiron Glory in it, and we'll see if you got what it takes. Posers and contenders, Noah and Nick Niehaus, you decide. Here they are in the red zone.
Thanks, Blake. Rolling right back into conference action, this time in the TVC Hawking. Nick Niehaus saw Trimble and Belpre square off, but not in that game's scheduled location.
Yes, went to Athens for this one. Technically still a home game for Trimble. Anyway, Trimble started off the season bouncing NY with a crazy win against them, and Belpre, they fell to Fort Fry. So the Golden Eagles didn't need too much extra motivation to try to take these Tomcats down. And check out this sign. Not responsible for ruffled feathers. Well, feathers weren't very ruffled on this play as Kittle drops back and just gives this one to Gavin Freeland for the interception. Belpre would give it right back to the Tomcats, however. Cam Kittle drops back once again and doesn't like what he sees, so he decides to tuck and a run. Pretty good decisions. Got people falling all over the place. Spins into the end zone for the touchdown. Makes it 7-0. He's amped up. Tomcats up early. Now Jesse Collins, his number was called a whole bunch for Belpre. He's trucking defenders, gets a first down here, but that possession would stall. Connor Wright, he gets the pitch on the right on here. Looks like he's about to get bounced to the out of bounds, but he stays in, and look what he does. He is taking Belpre defenders with him. 4 people, got to get the whole team on him. Sets up Cam Kittle for this QB sneak, and no one can get him. He's free into the end zone. Tomcats take this one 35-0.
Well, Nick, it didn't look like there were very many long plays with just 14 points in the first half.
Yeah, no, this was a gritty, run-hard kind of game, a 3 yards with a cloud of dust kind of game. I mean, people were literally running out of their shoes. Look at that. Both teams methodically drove the ball down the field consistently. The difference was Trimble performed when it mattered. In the red zone, offensively, they got both of their touchdowns in the first half from inside the red zone. Defensively, they stopped Belpre on 4th down both times they were in the red zone in the first half.
So you didn't see that many big-time plays, but were there big-time players?
Yes, 2 names come to mind immediately. For Trimble, it was Sawyer Coons. He was the unsung hero for the Trimble offense. He was throwing blocks and opening up holes for the running game to get everyone free. Everyone knows who runs the ball and scores, but we gotta give some love to those blocking for the ball carriers. Sawyer Coons, he loves some contact. Another player that loves some contact is Gavin Freeland of Belpre. He was everywhere. Without Freeland, that score for the Tomcats would be much higher. It's hard to believe. He was taking command of that Golden Eagle defense before and after the plays. He was calling out the plays. You could really tell who the leader on this team was.
So what's the biggest takeaway from this game?
Noah, this Tomcat team's real. 2 interceptions and a load of flags in the first half couldn't even stop them from dominating this one. From what we've seen from them in the first 2 weeks, there's plenty of reason to believe that they will be a serious conference champion threat. And it's been a handful of years since the Tomcats have been able to get the crown in the Hawking, so you better believe they're going to have their claws all over that title.
They definitely are, Nick. Thanks. From this matchup in the TVC Hawking, we now go to Blake and Nate in the Highlight Center for a flashback story in the TVC Ohio.
Thank you, fellas. As promised this season, we're bringing you Gridiron's greatest moments during our 20th season. Gridiron brand journalist Nate Busilla is back in the studio with a story about a record-setting night.
Blake, I'm taking you back to 1999 yet again. While this may be an individual record, this story shows how this team had a lot more to play for than just themselves.
The 3 touchdowns were in the first half of the Belpre game, and that is believed to be a state record for most kickoff returns for touchdowns in one half.
I mean, how many times do you see 3 kickoffs returned for a touchdown in a game, let alone a half?
First play of the game on the kickoff. Belpre Scott Elzy kicking off to Superman Eric Gabriel. He doesn't waste any time here, folks. Taking it 80 yards for a touchdown. Is there anything that this kid can't do?
You just, at the moment, you don't realize it is what it is, because every kickoff I tried to return. You know, that was one of the things we did.
Today's social media and media coverage, it would have been regionally known, if not nationally.
Next kickoff, Gabriel from the 4 takes it out.
I can't think of a better person than Eric Gabriel to have that in the record books.
96-yard kick return touchdown, number 2 for Gabriel on the day.
I think it was the third one, but John Irvin absolutely laid somebody out for a block.
Watch the block here by John Irvin. Boom! Big block by number 55.
They squib kick down the middle. There's 7 seconds left. I'm screaming at him to throw me the ball. And everybody else is just blocking. No one really knows what's going on. And
goes back right here, even goes backwards to dodge some players. And there he goes again. Are you kidding me?
The locker room was at that end of the field, I think. I think I just ran in the end zone.
His third of the game, all in the first half. 251 return yards for Gabriel. But in the second...
It was one of the coolest things in sports I've ever seen or been a part of.
It's very special player to come through there at Alexander.
It was cool. It was cool, and it's something I'll never forget.
Well, Eric, first of all, in the middle of summer and talking with you really weren't going to play football. What made you change your mind?
I guess the main thing that changed my mind is when we was in 6th grade, one of our best friends died, and he loved the game of football.
Blake, I set out to simply highlight this incredible record, and it's turned out to be such a captivating story. And you folks, make sure to check out our YouTube page for the extended cut of it. And Blake, you saw it. That was part 1. I got 2 more parts to show you, and they'll be coming up these upcoming next 2 weeks on Gridiron Glory.
Excellent, man. Excellent story. Amazing feat. Love the look back. Thank you, Nate. Wasn't Nate's story awesome? Well, watch it again whenever you want. Past shows, post-game recaps, media day videos, it all lives on our YouTube page. And we have more to churn out. Visit WOUB PBS on YouTube. If you're a longtime fan of the program, you've seen us attempt the extra point. This week, we went for 2. 4 teams are getting their first FaceTime this season, and to do the job, we needed 2 of our freshest faces. So let's see them. Sam Wiesnith and Jacob Murray are in the red zone. Sam, you're first, my friend.
Blake, tonight was the first conference game for both Wahama and Miller as the White Falcons crossed the border into Ohio. But Miller wasn't too welcoming since Wahama knocked them out of playoff contention last season. Miller took to the field tonight with an agenda looking to seek revenge on the White Falcons. The Falcons' defense came out with a vengeance. It seemed like Wahama was in the same spot on the field all night long. Wahama struggled offensively throughout the game and couldn't even make a dent in the Falcons' defense. Miller didn't allow a White Falcons first down until halfway through the second quarter. But that wasn't the only nail in the White Falcons' coffin tonight. Miller's offense dominated with junior Colby Bartley at the helm. He had 187 passing yards. He was always looking for his guys Clayton Cox and Kylan McLean down the field, who had a combined total of 96 receiving yards. And Kylan McLean accounted for 3 of the Falcons' 6 touchdowns this evening. Passing wasn't Miller's only bright spot. Senior Devin Crabtree had 118 rushing yards, blowing past Wahama's defense and helping the Falcons' ground game immensely. Overall, the Falcons had a much stronger night, and I'd say they definitely showed Wahama what they're capable of with a final score of 40-0. Southern is up next on Wahama's schedule, and Miller's hoping to keep their momentum alive at Belpre next week.
Certainly a one-sided affair out in Corning. Well, Jacob went to a non-conference battle in Vinton County. What was the story surrounding the Vikings?
Blake, the Vinton County Vikings were looking to bounce back against the Southeastern Panthers after their offense looked rough in their Week 1 loss, but it would look better this week. The Vikings were ready for battle right out of the tunnel, and their new running back, Florida transfer Cade Sibner, was running all over the Panther defense. In the first half, Sibner scored 2 touchdowns, including a big 52-yarder on their second offensive play of the game. Playing Southeastern is dealing with running options that the Panthers use constantly. The Viking defense had to deal with the crazy running formations the Panthers threw at them all game long, and they capitalized on the Panthers' penalties and turnovers to take a 14-6 lead early in the second quarter. On the Southeastern Panthers side, their running game was a focal point with a run option attack where each playmaker took turns tearing up the Vikings defense. Quarterback Lane Ruby was in full attack mode on the ground. He had a tough touchdown run in the first quarter, and though we weren't there to see it, he had a big 60-yard touchdown run to cut the lead to 1 late in the fourth quarter. However, it wasn't enough for the Panthers, as the Vikings would hold on in a close fourth quarter fight to win the game 21-20.
Excellent work, guys. Appreciate you going out to those games for us tonight. At Media Day, we asked 56 players and coaches their favorite social media. 23 answered Snapchat. Waterford's Peyton Stevens said it has a little of everything. Chillicothe's Bradley Reinhardt says everyone uses it. And we want to connect with all of you. Find our show at Gridiron Glory and follow along Friday night, because NY Mikey Seal said it. Snapchat is just the best. Well, Seal & Company give NY fans hope. And despite a tough loss on Saturday, that hope has not changed at all. It's still good in Buckeye Country. So good, it's the landing spot for tonight's Fan of the Week. What is your favorite piece of merchandise here? Shirts and things. Excellent. So what you got in your hand right here?
Spirit stick.
How did you earn the Spirit stick?
Yes, the cheer, like a screaming chant, I guess. Like we all scream.
All right, Tori, you were the most willing to be on television today, and because of that, we're going to make you our Fan of the Week. How you feel about that?
Good.
Good? Man, I wish you guys could have seen Tori's reaction. She ran right over to her mom, flashed a shirt in her face, jumping up and down. Her mom was excited, thanking us. We thank you guys. Thank you for letting us come out to the community. We love going out, especially in Nelsonville, York. I love that Buckeye, big Buckeye fan myself. Thank you a lot to that community. We'll be out there again. Our last game of the week features state runner-up Tri-Valley. This time it's another team who made a run to states, Nelsonville, York. They look to get back in the win column tonight in our game of the week. TVC Ohio reporter Thomas Garvrick joins me live now from Nelsonville to see if the Buckeyes bounce back from Trimble's thumping in Week 1 tonight against Martins Ferry.
Yeah, Blake, last week was ugly, and keep in mind, before last week's loss to the Tomcats, this Buckeye team hadn't lost a regular season game since September of 2016, and now tonight they're trying to avoid back-to-back losses in Boston Field to open up 2018. And there come the Buckeyes. Rusty Richards trying to fire up. You know who doesn't need fired up? Keegan Wilburn. He takes the opening handoff, bursts down the sideline, makes a man miss, 40 yards down the sideline. He's tackled inside the 20-yard line. Later on the drive, the Buckeyes, they get aggressive on 4th down. They go for it here. Wilburn takes a handoff, but the Purple Rider defense stuffs Wilburn. Turnover on downs. That kind of sets the scene for this offense to explode. Here's Jake Props. He takes the snap, throws it to his man Mason Goddard, and look at this. We'll speed it up for you. 81 yards to the house he goes. 7-0 Purple Riders. And then next possession, Buckeye defense, they need to stop. The Riders are moving, and look at that. They get the sack. They hold the Purple Riders for 3, 10-0 at this point. But here's where the game just goes from bad to worse. The Buckeyes, they take the kick. It bobbles off of Brandon Phillips, and we're going to speed it up because he gets tackled inside the 1. And here's Mikey Steele trying to be a hero. Throws the bomb to Keegan Wilburn, and he's got him, and he misses him by that much. Would have been 6 had they connected. I show you this play because here's what happens next. Steele rolls to his right, looks for Bryce Richards, and look at that. It ends up in the arms of Logan De Loretta, and he's gonna walk in for the pick 6. The Purple Riders, they win this one 38-0. Wow.
Big blowout loss, Tommy. What's going on in Nelsonville, man? 34-7 last week. Again, another blowout. Do you think it's time to be concerned if you're a Buckeye fan?
You know, I think it is, Blake, and this is a frustrated football team right now, and I think a lot of that frustration comes from the fact that they are just not able to move the ball offensively, and a lot of that boils down to the quarterback position, Mikey Steele, and, you know, he was 2 of 10 last week for 18 yards and a pick, and it was a similar stat line again tonight, Blake. He overthrew several passes, and you saw the pick 6 earlier, just not good enough to win right now.
Yeah, I mean, 7 points in 2 games. You got to think that the change has got to be coming.
Yeah, they have to figure something out, Blake. Keegan Wilburn came in at quarterback, but you need him in the backfield, and Rusty Richards knows that. He tried simplifying the offense. We saw a lot of power I tonight, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah, Keegan Wilburn is normally your go-to guy. You give him the ball, you trust him to do some damage with it.
Yeah, he's their best athlete without a doubt, but he plays running back, Blake, and he needs his offensive line to step up. Right now, the Buckeyes are losing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I was going to say, Martins Ferry had to have it going to hang 38 on the Buckeyes.
Yeah, much like Trimble did last week, the Purple Riders, they took over this game on the ground with their 3-man rushing attack. It was far too much for this thin Buckeye defensive line to overcome, and this offense did them no favors by giving Martins Ferry beautiful field position all night long.
Tommy, I got to ask you, we thought at the beginning of the season that this team would kind of run the conference, but now that TVC Ohio is looking a little bit bleaker than we had previously imagined. How do you assess the strength of the conference through these first 2 weeks?
You know, this is shocking. I know that Nelsonville was going to take a little bit of a step back with losing so many seniors, losing half of your senior starters, but I did not imagine this team putting up 7 points in 2 games. That is just a stunner for me. That kind of hurts this conference, and I think it's Athens right now. And right now, I'm looking very, very foolish with my season, but again, I'll say this is the Athens Bulldogs conference to win, Blake.
It's got to be frustrating out there, man, and it happens. We all make wrong predictions. This team and these fans are just not used to seeing these guys get pushed around. I don't even know if they remember the back-to-back losses. There's been a few seasons since that's been the case. Hopefully they get it turned around. Tommy, I know you're just down the road, but get home safe, my friend.
Hey.
You know what's next. You may have seen them at the game. You may have seen them on this episode, but it doesn't change the fact the following plays are our best 3 of the night. So let's take a look at the top plays. Now we take it out to Jim Rockwell Stadium for number 3, New Lexington. The Panthers hosting the West Muskingum Tornadoes. 8 yards out from the goal line, Logan Ratliff rolling to his left, tosses it up, intended for Ben Stenson, but Jacob Hoover coming down with that one instead. He steals a touchdown from his teammate, but it's still 6. They go on to win big. At Athens High School, Loomis leading. It's the Trimble Tomcats and Belpre Golden Eagles. Cam Kittle drops back to pass, but improvises. Puts this dude in a baseball slide, shakes another with a spin, finds a colored turf. He's excited after that touchdown. They go on to win as well. Number 1 play on the night. You saw this one as well. Washington Courthouse. Gio Thomas drops back. They're hosting Circleville with a hand on his collarbone, dumps it off, slips the stack to Dillard Stewart. He bobbles it, reverses field, and ain't nobody going to catch this guy. Number 2 had 5 touchdowns on the night. Big win for the Blue Lions, 68-6 win over Circleville. Now after 2 weeks, the big picture is starting to come together a little bit. And week 3 will give us an even better look at what to expect.
And these matchups should help clear things up for us. First off, after visiting Fairland tonight, Athens returns home to face Parkersburg South. The Patriots haven't made the trip to the Plains since 2010. Elsewhere in the TVC Ohio, Meigs plays host to Logan, who will play 3 consecutive road games starting next week in Pomeroy.
Noah, either South Gallia or Fed Hawk will get a win number 1 next week. The Rebels travel to Lancerland a week from now. And ladies and gentlemen, here is a big one. Waterford and Fort Fry. These guys do not like each other, believe me. They're going to duke it out in the home of the Cadets in next week's Game of the Week. You heard it here.
And then another rivalry. Former SEOAL foes Gallia Academy and Jackson will have meeting number 101 next Friday at Holzer Field. Finally, a game which could have MVL title implications. A hopeful Sheridan squad hosts the John Glenn Little Muskies, who will be playing their first league game this season.
I really like that competition out in the MVL, man. You saw Tri-Valley put up 71 points tonight, Sheridan getting the job done as well, and John Glenn and Philo right on the brink.
Yeah, but you were talking about the TVC Ohio earlier and how that's a toss-up. Athens was in a close matchup with Fairland tonight. That game went back and forth. It'll be interesting to see Athens again next week, our first trip there.
Yeah, another group of teams who truly don't like each other. Some bad blood dating back to 2013. And that's it. That's our slate of games next week, and that's our show. It's already going super quick, man. You're going to have to join us next week to see how it goes. Until then, remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.